Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. Dad jeans. Dad jeans.
You got to wonder how many people on the Titanic did stop and listen to the violins and think, how lovely.
That would have been you. No, you would have been just like critiquing it.
Yeah, it's kind of sour note, and that guy's vibrato is very weak.
Right. Yeah. They would have been like, do you want to get in the boat, sir? And you'd be like, I've got some snark. I've got some snark in me.
He still needs to be distributed to the second viola.
Hold on. I'm Instagramming this. So should we get into some compunctions?
Oh, sure. And before we do, I'm Brendan Hughes, and this is Dad Jeans.
Oh, look at you. Good on you. You did it right. I'm Jeffrey Dinsmore, and this is also Dad Jeans.
Oh, Jeff is also doing Dad Jeans while I'm doing Dad Jeans.
Yeah, I have my own group of Dad Jeans. You're Dad Jeans Alpha. I'm Dad Jeans Zeta.
Omega.
And we have, yeah, exactly. It's like how there was 4chan, and then I think there was like 40chan, and then there was like 420chan. Like all these, it's just like the racists just keep getting pushed into like larger numbers of.
Yeah. Here's what racists do.
URLs.
Here's what they do really well. You ready?
Yeah.
Metastasize.
Oh God, yes. They seem to be doing very good at that. There was a big riot in Kalamazoo, Michigan yesterday. Did you see that?
But okay, so I'm a Kalamazoo truther.
Okay.
You
don't think it happened?
There's that might have happened, but there's no such thing as a town called Kalamazoo.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I've been there. God damn it. I've been there. I know Kalamazoo.
Really?
I have people who live in Kalamazoo. Yeah, it's Michigan. Come on.
What's up with? Is that a well? Okay, let me take a step. Let me check my privilege. Is that a Native American word?
I would guess. That's a good guess.
Withdrawn.
Okay. How dare you, anti-nativist? No, but yeah, the Proud Boys. And again, I said this on Facebook, but come on with this Holocaust. Like, what a terrible Holocaust. We've got guys named the Proud Boys running around wearing Hawaiian shirts.
And how do they find the point on their giant wobbly necks to put that chin strap for the helmet? They just put it randomly below their mouth on that giant sea of flesh. And that's where that's where my chin used to be.
It's a throat strap, yeah. They just put on God, I know. I just this whole like all of everything about it. Like, I don't want to be in an ironic Holocaust. I don't just be scary. If you want to send scary guys out there, okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a real enemy. I mean, maybe that's why like the whole police thing is like, at least there are scary enemies in this thing, like the national, troops in their camouflage with no identifying marks. Like, at least those guys are kind of scary.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't want to be terrified of a guy in a fucking Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, that's very true. You look through those goggles, though, and you can be like, oh, yeah, I saw that guy on the campus of Quinnipiac College. Like, they're all regular people, but they've signed up to be scary. That's the fucking disturbing thing for me, is that these guys, they're not... They don't have blood coming from their eyes. They also probably go to the grocery store, yet they've signed up for a life of hatred and oppression.
Yeah, no, it's true. I don't think a lot of them are ideologues necessarily. They're just probably like people who needed a job, and then they found a bunch of guys who they could snicker with, and now they're just like snickering behind 20 tons of ammunition.
And those guys they decided to snicker with, most of them are white supremacists. So it's like half people who are totally bought in. Like the entire, I don't know what percentage of the national police forces is active white supremacists, but it's a lot. And the FBI started knowing that in 2006.
Apparently it is, yeah. It's terrifying.
And they're like, if we become police, then we get to do this, and it isn't illegal,
Right.
And then... Yeah, and then these other schmoes turn up, and they're like, "Hey guys," and they welcome them into their hatred fold, and then it just metastasizes from there.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to read a book about it. Like, is it straight up Watchmen where they're like recruitments from white supremacists? There's a secret network that's been happening, or is it just like you get a couple of guys who are into white power and they're just sitting in a car with their buddy all day and they're like, hey, have you heard about this white power thing? And their buddy's like, no, tell me about that. That sounds nice. I'm white. I like power. Like, is that how it works?
Right, they get these ingenues.
Yeah.
Who they? Yeah, that's a very good question. And Jeffrey, I salute you for saying I'd like to read a book about it. Far too few Americans say that. A lot of people probably are like, well, I should probably watch a YouTube video about it and then form a cemented opinion.
Form a huge opinion. I have been reading like a madman. I'm almost at 15 books this year.
Jesus.
That is and one of those books was Infinite Jest.
Shut the fuck. No. No, you didn't. No.
For
Again,
a second time.
I'm also
I'm
an Infinite Jest truther also. Absolutely not. That didn't happen.
I have read it twice from start to finish,
I'm on page 90, and I started at the beginning of the pandemic, but like then I pick it up and I'm like, wait, did I read this chapter? I don't even know.
I think it might be troublesome, or it might be problematic, this book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like very early on, there's a really weird, like bad chapter that's using some patois that David Foster Wallace should not be using.
Yes. I got to that chapter and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. But it's the only chapter with that's written like that. It should have been.
Oh my God, you're kidding. So I saw that and I was like, oh, am I going to have to spend time with this character? Because I'm all set. I think I've met everyone and now I can kind of say I kind of read it at parties.
Right.
I'm all set. And I bounced on that chapter or shortly thereafter.
Yeah. That's a problematic chapter, but also just his whole, like the whole framing. There's a lot of Madonna horror things going on. Like David Foster Wallace, I don't think had a very charitable view of women.
Yeah. So true of so goddamn many writers.
So goddamn many writers. Let's not get deep on that. Let's go into our compunction, shall we?
Let's.
I'm so sorry, I was wrong, and here we are, Compunction Junction.
Compunction Junction. This is, thank you for that theme song, Mr. Brian L. Perkins.
You minx.
One of our favorite, he rarely makes an appearance, but when he does, the fans go wild.
It's true.
The Angel Fire forums light up with excitement.
Yeah, and so does our snail mailbox.
Yeah, no, it's true. We get a lot. Well, not anymore. We get nothing in our snail mailbox anymore.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I have a feeling there are thousands of fan letters sitting out there that Trump is sitting on.
We've had the body of a dead mailman at the end of our street for 3 days.
Oh, Jesus.
It's awful. What's happening?
His comrades won't even come back and pick him up?
I think he's being left there as a signal to other postal workers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Or a signal to you to not put anything in the mail.
And not ask questions. Right, exactly. We're like, well, we could put something in the mail, but look.
I have this postcard.
They can't even dispose of their bodies.
Oh my God, these incompetent. No, all love to postal workers. These guys.
Yeah.
Who knew the jobs that there should be no courage needed to do these jobs have become the most courageous jobs. Like working at a grocery store.
Yeah.
You should not have to have courage to work at a grocery store.
No, that's a summer job while you're surfing.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's insane what we have done to our poor.
Oh my God! And the
working
Republicans
class.
The ability of the Republican Party to identify new innocuous enemies to launch their vitriol at is incredible. Next, it will be like the comma. No, we don't use commas anymore in our sentences, and then everyone's like, "We've always hated commas."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you shower, you may not use a washcloth.
Right.
Because the washcloth, like now we're all using, I don't know, loofahs, or I don't know what we're using. We're using bricks. We're using bricks instead of washcloths.
It's the loofah.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. They always just like take something that works pretty well for everyone, and then they're like, we're going to make it shittier for everyone. And then the people who accept it are like, oh yeah, bricks instead of washcloths. It makes perfect sense. Like, why would you ever use a nice soft thing on your face when you could rub it with this hard scraper? Like, that's the power move, is getting people to accept things that are worse for them as well, you know?
Just so that other
they're not
people
just
will
owning
also
the
suffer.
libs. Yeah, they're owning themselves while they're owning the libs. They're like owning everyone.
God, that's amazing. That is true kakistocracy in its finest form.
I think it does seem it. Yeah, it seems they do a good job at this cacostraphing. So compunction junction. This is a segment where we apologize for something we have done horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I have two things this week. Number one, I said on the first episode back, I kept saying that my son was 5. He is in fact 6.
Oh, we discovered that last night when I asked him how old he was.
Yes. 5 and 6 blend together in my head. He just turned 6 during the pandemic, so I feel like in this weird flat circle of non-time, he's still 5 somehow.
That makes perfect sense. I don't think birthdays are counting these days.
No, that's true. We all get a couple extra years thrown in.
Yeah, like as you have said, calories in an airport.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it means nothing. So my son is 6. Let everyone know.
Okay.
I have 2 sons, and also if we have new listeners, we should describe our lives. My wife's name is Sarah. She just graduated from social work school. She has a master's of social work now, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
She is going to be out there helping the people. She will be the new alternative to the police.
Fabulous.
I have a 6-year-old son named Elijah and a 9-year-old daughter named Hazel. So those are the characters you may encounter in an episode of Dad Jeans.
Yes, and I this is Brendan, and my wife is Emily, and she is a cinematographer of documentary.
Yes.
And my son is Oscar, and he is a pundit.
He could be. Honestly.
And he is 7, but I was just about to say 6 because he turned 7 in the pandemic, and it was
there you
a
go.
very anticlimactic event.
It means nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good segue into the mommy blog, but we have to do my other compunction real quick.
Yeah. Oh, let's hear your other one.
And I should also note while we're doing this, there's a lot of upfront matter on this episode. I'm sorry to keep interjecting with the upfronts.
Yes. However, I've been thinking about this a lot because then we're like, we got to get to and then we get to the segments, and then we come back from music, and it's still us just talking.
And it's exactly the same. I know, but there is a feeling somehow to it. As a listener, I'm like, just get to the segments.
Yeah.
And then you're like, then we're doing the exact same thing, and you're like, why are we in the segments? Like, is this a segment? Where are we?
It's sort of, we're in the fleshy part, and then you detect there's sort of a bone underneath the flesh once the theme songs begin.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate analogy. Okay, no, my other compunction, not necessarily compunction. Oh, no, my other upfront, before I get into my second compunction, is that the wildfires are burning like mad in California right now, and I'm like, can you feel it in your chest?
Oh,
I'm
sure.
like, ugh. I'm like, this is not a fun thing to be happening during a pandemic in which if I cough, I'm afraid I'm going to die within 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, right.
Because I've had this blugness in my throat from these fires. I hope it's from these fires. I don't know. Anyway, the other compunction is not a compunction, but last week I said that I'm warming up to Joe Biden, and I didn't quite get to what I was going to say. What I meant to say, which is, you're going to scream at me about this one, Brendan, I fear.
Okay, I'm ready.
But I'm kind of coming around to the idea that he might have been the best choice.
Oh,
because I cannot imagine having to fucking defend Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders while all the rest of this shit is going on.
Oh.
Like, there's something about his inoffensive grandpa presence that I feel like maybe it's just the thing that is needed in this moment.
Just a decent guy.
Just some baseline of something. Yes. Like I think we need the revolution right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just can't imagine adding another factor to this chaos. Like, his sheer blandness somehow is what has made him tolerable, and if not just tolerable, perhaps the best choice in this moment for this country full of people who's just like, I just want someone who's done the job. I don't want to worry if they can do the thing. Like, he's been there. He knows what he's doing. Like, we don't, all of that stuff is out of the conversation, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why Trump has to go in and be like, yeah, he's a communist, you know, like the most absurd shit you've ever heard, obviously, because he's just like this bland dude who's never had a piece of wheat toast he liked, you know?
Yeah, I think I see your point, and it makes a certain amount of sense that the country, all it needs now is recalibration from
Yes.
a 4-year roller coaster ride. You get off a roller coaster, some people get right back on the roller coaster like psychopaths.
Yeah.
and other people just need funnel cake at a picnic table.
Yes, that's what he is. He's funnel cake at a picnic table.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. That makes a certain amount of sense, and I felt for many months that there was a sense that this was our moment. This was the only moment the progressives would ever have, or be able to seize in order to sort of lurch the country back to the left after Reagan and after the slide to the right that's been going on since the 70s, and
Sure.
the neoliberalism and sort of the cemented center of Bill Clinton, et cetera, et cetera. And I still believe that there's on Earth 8, as
Yes.
opposed to the one we're on, it's going great. Sanders was elected. Warren is his vice president. Everyone is fired up, and there's a sense of excitement and danger. And
Yes, the world's changing for the better.
right, all right, and it's a bold choice. But I also see, as you're saying, the need. It's so exhausting, which was the point this whole time. The daily scandalization of our
Yes.
feeds is in order to exhaust us, so that
Yes.
because he is a wholly owned, enthusiastic subsidiary of the Russian mafia, he can then do his evil behind the scenes while coming back and sort of flirting with the N-word on Twitter, so that we can all be out of our minds about it.
Yes.
So to return to what we've known before has its merits, I think. And this vice presidential pick of his is quite fascinating because
Yes.
yeah, I've come around even to that.
We haven't talked about Kamala. I'm excited. I'm very excited about Kamala.
Yeah, I think she's a perfect counterpoint to his decent comportment. Would be
Yes.
her way in which that, like, when she goes through those hearings, she's just so brutal.
Oh yeah,
And
I love
like,
it.
stupidity cowers in her presence because she's so sharp and just has no trouble exposing the stupid. And actually, American stupidity is probably the thing that is the most frustrating about the United States, and she is a much better antidote than anyone else who would have to prove they're friendly. She has the track record of fucking destroying people in hearings, and she can
Yes.
just keep going.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. But then, do you think she's going to get hung up by? My fear is what I see happening is she's going to go into this debate with Pence. She will hang him out to dry. He will be a limp little schoolboy after she has done her tricks on him.
Yep.
And then I just fear that the next day, because the media needs to constantly have a couple of different sides that they can talk about, every single conversation is going to be, was she likable?
Absolutely. You're totally right. And that he was able to hold his own because he's
Yes.
the underdog on the card.
Yes, exactly. Like, yeah, he didn't completely fold into a ball and cry for mommy. Like, but even if he does that, I feel like these guys are given like, well, he did go into a fetal position and call for mommy, but he still wore a suit. He still was in a suit the whole time.
He
like
was
somehow
in a suit. If things got, they had to go to commercial when his wife came on stage and began breastfeeding him.
Yeah, exactly. Which shows that he's a family values guy. Just everything. There's no bar low enough for these guys. I promised I was not going to talk about two things this week. I didn't tell you this, but I promised to myself I'm not going to talk about the pandemic, and I'm not going to talk about politics. And look at us, Brendan.
Look at us.
We can't stay away.
Yeah, I have an idea to talk to you about offline, where we do a daily news roundup on Patreon or something. Just 10 minutes of just letting off our noxious steams.
I think that's actually not a bad idea, because it does feel like we tend to get hijacked by our hatred of the world right now. Sometimes
there's too much. It's just too much going on. It's too overwhelming and too insane.
Yeah. I love that. Newspapers, the series.
Yeah, exactly. A little spin-off series or something like that. This means that we would have to get off our butts and actually start a Patreon. But perhaps our 10 listeners would be like, well, here's 4 cents a month so I can listen to you guys every day about bullcrap.
Listen, I want to pay. This whole time we've been paying out of our pockets for our Libsyn subscription. It's $17 a month. I think we can find a way to make $17 a month, Brendan.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, it does. It adds. I suppose it adds up. I mean, over the course of 6 years, God knows how much. That sounds like it might be like $40 or $50.
It's quite a bit. And then if we can do $20 a month, the $3 is pure profit, baby.
Oh, wait a second. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any compunctions?
I have noticed over the past several Spite Clubs that I am really mad at people who are genuinely well-adjusted and are just living their best life. People who go to clubs and dance around, people who eat $45 entrees and think there's nothing wrong with that. People who sit in cafes across from their, quote, friends, unquote, and don't say or do anything and just stare off into space with their fucking dogs. Oh, there I go again. I'm getting mad again.
Yes, see? It is, yeah.
But do I need to have a hard look in the mirror? Is it me? Why do I feel like I need to have a really important problem to pick apart or a funny long story in order to merit meeting a friend? I'm a terrible friend. It's me.
Oh, Brendan, that's great. I encourage any looks in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if you're getting to if you're asking yourself, is it me? It's always you.
It's always yes. And am I wrong? Definitely.
Yeah. You're always yes.
Yeah. Anything comes out of my mouth says who?
Yeah. You're seeing things through your lens.
Yes.
But I mean, I think there is some amount of frustration with privilege in this day and age that you're entitled to.
That's certainly true. And especially the conspicuous displays of time, which it used to be money. People used to drive around in Rolls Porsches. And then it changed. And now it's conspicuous displays of time. So on people's feeds, it's like, look how I built this birdhouse, even though I'm like a mother of 3 or whatever. And and great. I mean, I'm all for free range kids and everyone having their own individual lives. But there's a way in which this thing of time consumption, because you can afford to do it, is a new way to brag about how much money you have.
Sure. Yeah, agreed. But it's also like the stuff of youth. Like, I don't know how I lived in my 20s and in 30s. Like I look back on the things that I managed to get done in the course of a day. Mm-hmm. Like they have all of the time. Like, yes, they can have that time when they're sitting at the cafe staring at each other and saying nothing, and you walk by and you're like, fuck these motherfuckers. But they also have 75 other life events, some of which might be lovely, like that they're taking part in that day. Like maybe they're going from there to volunteer, and then they're watching a movie, and then they're having sex, and then they're doing some drugs and going to a club, and then they're, going after the club to a restaurant and looking at each other bored. And like they've lived an entire life. They're our dad life. Like they live a year of our lives in one night. The young.
That's definitely true. And it's wasted on them. I mean, because they don't realize that it's finite. The way I didn't realize it was finite.
Until you had children?
Yeah. Although, yes. I spent the first 5 years of Oscar's life kind of like mourning even though I love Oscar and I wouldn't do anything different, mourning the loss of that life you just described, because it was just endless fun. And I thought, oh, adulthood is endless fun. I had no idea. This is great. Yeah. And then responsibility kicks in, et cetera, et cetera. Wouldn't trade it. And so I spent a long time being like, I did all that wrong. I didn't see the unit of time from college, the end of college to children, as being a unit of time. I saw it as just like endless more. Yeah. And so for a while, it's like, I did it all wrong and I would have done it totally differently. But I've been coming around to the fact that, no, I did it great. It was really fun. And I had a great time. And it was finite, and fuck it, it's over. And this is great too.
I appreciate that. I don't think I have a lot of regrets in life. I think I do feel I probably could have used that time a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Probably could have been more adult for those 10 to 15 years of my life.
Started an IRA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bought some rental properties.
yeah, had some thought that I might live beyond 30.
Mm-hmm.
But all told, I had a lot of fun times as well.
Yeah.
I just have. Can I? I just came up while you were saying that. I just thought of a new shorthand that I'd like to incorporate. When we all have to do this dance as parents when we're like, love my children, wouldn't trade them for the world. But they've made my life a living hell. Like, you always have to start out with that, that little trade off.
Right.
What if we make take a bullet for him as our shorthand?
That's great. Take a bullet
So
for 'em.
I'm like, take a bullet for him, but I really hate everything about them right now.
Yeah, that is very true. That reminds me of the emancipation you feel from your own ego when a child is born and you're like, I would die in 1 second for this stranger I just met that just weirdly popped out of my wife's vagina.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, please, just take me, please, kill me. My children are here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go get some life insurance. They're gonna do fine. They're gonna be rich.
Yeah, I don't want to live through the rest of this shit.
Should we move to Blommy Mogs?
Oh yeah, this is so exciting. I'm so excited about this one. Let's do it. Okay. Mommy blogs.
Mommy blog, show me the way. Tell me where I've gone wrong today. Mommy blogs.
This is making a comeback.
It is.
The mommy blogs.
We've probably not done this since the first season.
Oh my God, I know. And we used to do it all the time, but I don't know how you find these things. This is like a brilliant find. Do you just search mommy blogs, or do you have a couple that you check in on?
I have some search terms that lead me to the really juicy ones.
Oh, good. Okay, I like that. Well, I love that you find good stuff. So we're gonna go through an article on a mommy blog right now, and do we like it or do we dislike it? Who knows? Let's see.
What issues does it yield?
Yeah. What have we learned from this slice of life?
Yeah.
Do you want to lead us through this
adventure? Or perhaps you could. I would be happy if you did as well.
Oh, I never do. So sure, let's mix it up. Okay. Should I read the whole thing? It's pretty long.
It is long. No, maybe perhaps we read the first sentence and do a little encapsulation.
Okay, so I write this post with swollen, puffy eyes, still raw and burning from crying myself to sleep on my pillow. That's not fun. That's not a fun way to start it.
Right.
But now I feel bad making fun of this poor person.
And then you scroll down. You're like, Jesus, and it's long? Fuck.
Yeah, I know. It's so true. What was supposed to be a fun-filled birthday party weekend, complete with pizza, cake, games, prizes, and friends, went horribly wrong. I mean, come on. That hurts. That hurts to just hearing that hurts.
Nice opener too. So I'm seeing blood. I'm seeing like some kid has such a giant allergic reaction that everyone died. Who knows? Something
terrible happens. Yeah. Okay. Next paragraph. He's a great kid. Sure. Love it. Take a bullet for him. Next. Okay. Here we're starting to get into a little sketchy territory.
The top of the third paragraph.
Top of third paragraph here. As a homeschooled child.
I need to stop you right there.
Stop me.
That is.
Please.
I don't know if we even need to read the rest.
Well, you know where we're headed, I think. I mean, look, okay. In my heart, this is Brendan, I think, where this is the hard part about being a parent. Like in my head, like, I mean, we're all homeschool parents now.
Yes.
But in my head, I truly have admiration for the concept of homeschooling. Like the idea of child-led learning is great to me. I think our public school system is we've just smashed it beyond all recognition. Like, I don't think it's doing the job that it should be doing. No fault of the teachers or perhaps the administration, but just we've brutalized public education. Like, as you've spoken about many times, what kind of world is our children's education preparing them for, right?
Yeah, and hitching it to property taxes is the most asinine idea anyone ever had.
Oh, it's absurd. It's absurd. Just like, yeah, a clear and have and have not situation. So I get it. I get opting out of this system. But having said that, there is a lot of in order to opt out of this system, there are a lot of things you need in place before you can opt out that are, shall we say, I hate to use the word again, privileged.
Right. Yeah. You need to have a lot of that time.
Yes. You need time. You need one non-working parent. You need, what else do you need? To care. You need to care about your children.
Right. You need to have a holistic worldview.
Yeah.
We're going to be turning around. We're both going to turn out to be homeschoolers by the end of this article.
Well, we already are.
But we already are. Right. Exactly. So anyway,
exactly.
let's proceed.
Okay. So he's never had a real birthday party before. Fine. The kid is turning 10? Like I don't give a shit about birthday parties either.
Me neither.
I feel like have your parents over, that's fine. But
yeah,
you don't need to have a blowout.
No.
Okay. But then when he was 8, he started to notice he didn't have any friends. That's what happens when you're homeschooling. That's one of the defects of homeschooling. We held this party at Chuck E. Cheese, but couldn't think of anyone with kids his age to invite. That's kind of a weird little. They don't know anyone with kids his age. Like he's literally never seen another child. Is that what we're starting to learn about this guy? So we invited a couple of family friends. No one showed up. The family friends didn't show up. They didn't say, "Hey, are you coming to the party?" They didn't bother to get into that kind of back and forth.
Right.
My son's having a party. Are you going to come? No, they didn't think to ask that.
Right. They just sent it via however homeschoolers communicate. I think like smoke signals. They're just like ... dash chuck cheese.
Yeah, they went up on the roof and did semaphore. Okay, so no one came. The mom says next year it's going to be better. You're turning 9. We're going to do a real ass party for you. And little kid's like, yeah, all right, cool. I don't care. Next year is going to be awesome. Okay, so Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Kid's favorite thing in the world. My daughter also loves these books. They're fine.
Oh, yeah.
His mom, okay, DOAC. She kept using this acronym, DOAC, which I was like, what the fuck is DOAC? I missed the Diary of a Wimpy Kid thing. So, okay, I guess DOAC is not a thing I should know. That stands for Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So anyway, mom is decorating, hanging streamers, kids excited, the best day of my life. Looking at these name tags, she's got some name tags laid out for all the kids who are supposedly attending this party. One of them, does he have a friend named Fregley?
Yeah, Fregley.
Is this upper left one? He's got a friend named Fregley? Okay. All right, so he's waiting for the guests to arrive. She's posting all these pictures. Let me just say, this is a really shitty thing to do to your kid. Writing this posting these pictures of how excited he is for his party. Because, of course, what happens when the party time came and passed and none of the party guests were here yet, I started to get a little nervous. I had asked parents to RSVP on the invitation, but hadn't received a single reply. Let's stop here. This sounds like a red flag to me, Brendan.
Yeah.
I don't know much about red flags, but you ask people to RSVP and no one RSVPs. I think we need to unpack this one a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these people that you're inviting, first of all?
Fregley.
Yeah, Fregley. Yeah, Fregley and Friends. One of the best new children's shows, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't follow up?
Right.
As a parent, you send a thing out. Yeah, I had asked parents to RSVP on the invitation, but hadn't received a single reply. They're new in town. That's fine. She didn't have phone numbers. That's fine. But shouldn't you have taken care of this long before the birthday party? Oh, she'd heard someone had told her. No, she'd the husband reassured her. Nobody seems to RSVP these days. Don't worry, they'll come. Kids love birthday parties. I considered canceling the party, but M told me that 5 of his friends had told him they were coming, so I was worried that if I canceled, they would still show up. Okay, so then they was sad, hoping they were running late. He's running up and down the street. No one comes. No one comes to this poor kid's birthday party. They have enough pizza to feed an army. Words cannot describe the utter and complete devastation that washed over me. Okay, let's go into how how she's feeling. Let's forget about the kid. Let's just find out how she's feeling about this. Because that's what's matter.
Yeah.
That's what matters. She's at the center of this entire situation. My husband, the father, was almost brought to tears. Seeing my heartbroken little boy sitting all alone at his brightly decorated empty party table was more than I could take. I briefly excused myself to my bathroom and sobbed quietly, as I didn't want to upset him any further.
Oh.
Yeah, good for you. We tried to make it fun. We did a bunch of shit. We sang some songs. My kids were safely asleep. My husband and I fell apart. I don't blame the kids who didn't show up, and I'm trying very hard not to blame the parents, as I'm honestly too devastated to be angry. You know why? Because the only one you should be blaming is yourself.
Something went wrong in the outreach in the marketing department of the of the party. So what this brings up for me, actually, I can kind of relate because of the certain ways in which I kind of half-ass some stuff around Oscar's childhood, and I feel terrible about it. Like, I half attended a PTA meeting yesterday, and then as soon as they started doing on Zoom and they started doing breakout rooms, I hung up because I was like, oh no, I don't want to, and I just hung up. You know what I mean? I don't want to. I just want to be there and see what's going to happen. I don't want to like participate or anything, and I don't want to like befriend anyone and like suddenly have new friends that I have to then have friendships with. You know what I mean? Because friendships are fucking exhausting. And so I get on a certain level the way in which she seems to have half-assed this. She isn't acknowledging the fact that she kind of half-assed the outreach that you have to do when your kid is in a class and you're like, okay, now I have to. So there's like 8 parents that I have to be like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm and then do the uncomfortable thing of being like texting and being like, hey, does Johnny want to play? And then it happened. You know what I mean? Like you have to get over all your shy shit in order to seed bed your child's social life. And if you're going to homeschool a child, you have to be that much better at it. You have to be incredible.
You have to be prepared.
At that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. What's your overall takeaway from this? Like, so I ask you a question and I'm just going to answer it.
Do it.
For myself. But first of all, this is all her problem. Mm-hmm. This is all her fault for not getting in, not doing more to, like, you send out one invite. I mean, from the description, she sent out a single invite and no one responded. And she still went ahead with the party, fully convinced that it was going to happen. So something's a little off in her head.
I'm ready to diagnose it based on what you just said.
Okay.
Self-sabotage.
That's very definitely a very big part of it, for sure. But when you self-sabotage and it affects your child, that's when I lose complete sympathy for you.
If she's over-identifying...
You're sabotaging your child.
Yeah.
You're not self-sabotaging. You're putting yourself at the center of the story, and you're sabotaging your experience, and your child is collateral damage.
Exactly. And if she's over-identifying with her son, and her son is her, then she visits her self-sabotage on her son. It becomes son sabotage.
Absolutely true. Yeah. And also, prepare your child. They just moved to this town. Like... Tell your child, hey, no one's RSVP into this thing. You're new in town. There's a chance that like these kids just don't like, you know, they have other things. How long did she send out the RSVP? Was it that week? Was it a month ahead of time? Did you give people plenty of time to write back? Like if you told me that you got a stack of 7 people saying, yeah, I'm going to be there and no one shows up, that's heartbreaking. But for you to not understand your own situation. I don't know any of these people. I don't know any of these their phone numbers. I'm relying on my child's I'm relying that some kid was like, yeah, I'll come to your party. And then he tells that to my son who has never had a birthday party in his life, comes back to me and he's like, hey, I got 5 people coming to my party. And I'm like, that's great. All right, let's get ready. Let's order a ton of pizza.
Yeah.
Like
cue the getting it done montage and the theme song.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, have you homeschooled him that well that he can actually be in charge of the party? Because maybe he would do a better job with it than you.
What this comes down to is I think she pictured in her mind the romantic. She's trying as hard as she can to live in a romantic comedy where this goes perfectly. Not a funny romantic comedy, just one where everything turns out great. Where she has the party, all these kids show up, and it's going to be great, and the theme song plays. Like, she's building those fantasies, constructs in her imagination, and it is surprised when they don't turn out, because life actually is really boring and not a movie. And
Right.
you have to do awkward, annoying, boring things in order to make it feel almost like a movie for your kid.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's maybe one of the pitfalls of homeschooling, is that you can get into that fantasy mindset, right? Like this is all, like, it's so self-contained. You don't have to encounter the real world that children deal with as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is sad.
And there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of cruelty. There's a lot of there's a lot of shit going on in the real world, and you got to prepare your children for it, and you got to be there with them and talk them through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, like, that's why I think it makes me angry. It doesn't seem to make you quite as angry. I feel like maybe you're. I mean, it's a devastating story. I feel
poor
so
kid.
bad for this kid.
Oh, this poor kid.
Just that she just there's something very telling to me in how quickly she goes to I. Like, she's just.
Yeah.
This is how it affected me.
And this is
I was sad.
Fodder for her blog.
For her blog, because that's the other thing. She's writing this mommy blog. She's like, at some point in her head, she's thinking, I'm gonna benefit from this experience. Look at this devastating thing. Like, I can talk about this.
Ooh, this is going to be juicy.
Ooh, this gives me something to talk about. I'm going to get a lot of hits off of this one.
Right. And
so I question her motives.
And it comes back to certainty in a way, too, because I think homeschoolers are particularly certain about things in the world. And if you don't challenge yourself to really have a hard look at what assumptions you've made about the world, and therefore what assumptions you've made that you are enshrouding your child in and buffering them from the world inside of your particular assumptions, if you don't challenge those assumptions as often as possible and model that, then you wind up in these situations where you start to end up in sort of this fantasy version of life where everyone's going to show up to the party because he half mentioned it to some kids who are like, oh, what? Okay. And then figured they know our address. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's very upsetting. I think she's grinding an axe on parenthood. That's probably very dull by this point.
I'm with you on that. Can I? And if anyone finds themselves in this situation, or having a birthday party, let me just give you guys a little bit of unsolicited fatherly advice. In the RSVP, mention free pogs.
What are pogs?
Everyone loves pogs. Kids love pogs.
Pogs are a thing.
That fell flat. If you don't know what pogs are, they're a brief '80s phenomenon.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I thought you were going to be right there with me. We're usually so simpatico on these things.
I know. I've never heard of pogs, but I grew up on a commune.
Yeah. Oh, that is true. Good point. Shall we move on to leisure class?
Leisure class.
Come on, everybody. We're going to school. Now it's time to find out what Dad thinks is cool. It's leisure class. Dad Jean's leisure class.
Jeffrey, how are you spending your leisure time?
Oh, all of my leisure time that I have. In my working 48 minutes longer per day. Have you seen that statistic? That we are working 48 minutes longer per day in quarantine?
Because work will expand to fill the time available, and now we're not commuting anymore.
Exactly right. But I actually had an hour and a half commute, or a 3-hour commute. So I'm still saving a good.
Oh, you're in
12.
You're in the
12.
black.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so leisure class. This is where we talk about the things that we are into leisurely.
Yeah.
I just read this book. A couple of months ago, I went down this rabbit hole on the KLF. Do you know the KLF? Do you remember the KLF?
Is that a Roald Dahl book?
No, it was a house, like hip hop / house band, British band from the 90s. They had a song, KLF, doon, 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 doon. KLF is gonna rock you. No?
Nope.
Point to the fact that time is eternal. 3 a.m., 3 a.m. You don't remember that?
No.
Eternal. Okay, so there's that. What else did they have? They had they're justified and they're ancient and they ride an ice cream van. Tammy Wynette. KLF, the Justified Ancients of Mumu? No? You don't know any of this?
No.
All right. Well, unfortunately, you can't look them up because the KLF are the most fascinating band in the history of the world. So these are two guys in their 30s. They were record producers, and they were just like, oh, and they're also the force behind the guys who did it before they were the KLF. They wrote or recorded or made I don't know how you say it, Pump Up the Jams, or not Pump Up the Jams, no, I'm sorry, oh shit, why am I blanking on it? It's fuck, you're just looking at me with this blank face right now.
Sorry.
It's a song that you will absolutely know. Kick Out the Jams, no. I don't know, I'll get back to that, but anyway, so these two music producers form this band, the KLF, and it's all like based on the book The Illuminatus trilogy. Have you ever read this?
No.
By Robert Anton Wilson. So this is a sci-fi trilogy in the 70s, and it basically made the idea of Illuminati, like this public conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all this, the series like is all about there's conspiracies around you everywhere. And this is before like everyone believed this. So it was fun. It was like a fun paranoid fantasy, you know? But the KLF read this book, or the two guys in the KLF read this book, and they decided that, they would start a band that was like based on one of the groups mentioned in this book called the Justified Ancients of Mumu. So they started this hip hop house band, and they wrote a book. They had a huge hit in England by the song called Doctor in the TARDIS, which was a Doctor Who.
Oh, right.
Like they mashed up Gary Glitter's da-na-na-na-na, hey, da-na-na-na, Doctor Who, hey, a Doctor Who. And that's all it was. It was like the dumbest novelty record you could ever imagine. They mashed up the Doctor Who theme song with Gary Glitter's rock and roll, and created this really stupid Doctor Who song. It like swept the nation of England, became this huge thing. So then they wrote this book called How to Have a Number One Hit Without Really Trying. And a bunch of people read this book, and they themselves like created these hits based on the KLF's motto or method. Then they got huge. They had like this giant album, The White Room, in the States, and all of their videos were like very like cult. Like they wear these like weird like costumes, they obscure their faces, and they do these like crazy like, you know, cult dances, and you're just like, what is this band? And they like played MTV, and you're like, what's going on? And so then they had this one big album, and then they decided that they were just going to end it all. So they went to the British Music Awards, I believe, and they hired a thrash metal band to play their biggest hit. So the metal band's like just like this chaos of noise. They spray the crowd with machine guns, and they're like, the KLF is dead. Not real machine guns. I mean, it's like, yeah. No, blanks. But still, it's a very frightening spectacle. And then they dump a dead, bloody sheep carcass on the after party, and then they delete their entire back catalog. So you can't buy any of their music anymore. It's not on Spotify. It's not on anything.
That's the most punk rock thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's so punk rock, but even more punk rock is that a year later, they took £1 million, which is what they estimated would be their like future royalties from their catalog, and they burned it.
What?
They burned £1 million. They went to like a shack on an island. They had a film crew following them, and they loaded up £1 million in an oven, and they burned it. And so I read this book called like Chaos Magic something about the KLF, and the entire story is so fascinating, and the book is just so well written, and it's like the book starts out with the reaction to them burning £1 million, which was quite bad. And Americans didn't really know anything about it, but in England it was like all of the shit you could have done with £1,000,000 and you fucking burned it.
Yeah.
But then the end of the book is sort of like the whole point is anti-capitalism. Like, this band was conceived as an anti-capitalist manifesto, and they were like burning the story of capitalism. So it's like the writer doesn't really come down one way or the other, but it's like fucked up these guys' lives. Like the guys in the KLF, they're like, why did we do that? We don't know. We were just driven to do it. Like, we had to do it. We decided it had to be done, and so then we carried it out, and it happened. So I will post the name of the book in the notes to this episode, but it's a fascinating story.
Holy shit.
And you might know their songs. I'm surprised that you don't know them. There are probably a lot of people listening to this will be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember them.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't know the full story over here. They were just some weird like novelty act in the States.
That is amazing. That's incredible. It's sort of like the Yes Men, but for music in a way.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like dark. Like, they had some dark shit going on too.
Yeah. I'm sad they regret it now, because that's so awesome. That from soup to nuts. Sure, they could have done some wonderful things with £1,000,000, but Jeff Bezos could end world hunger and not even feel it every day.
Yeah,
And he doesn't. So fuck, so in a way, fuck that. Like, that does get the point across, because what that does do is inject into society the sense that only £1,000,000 could solve all these problems, and then they have a harder look at the billionaires who are just sitting on it.
Yeah, it's true. And they're like, we don't have it either.
Yeah,
like,
burned it.
Yeah, exactly. There was one other thing they did which I loved, which is that they before they burned the £1,000,000, they did this test run where they offered a prize. They named the shittiest artist in England, and they said, well, there's like some big art awards that was going to like that goes to the best artist of the year every year, and they give them like £100,000, and they said, we're going to give £500,000 to the shittiest artist of the year. But they both named the same person. Like, the best artist of the year here was actually like who they declared to be the shittiest artist of the year. And the shittiest artist didn't pick up the prize. And then the KLF was like, we're going to nail this £500,000 to a pole in front of this museum. And if you don't come and collect it by such and such a time, then we're going to burn it. And so then the artist had to like show up to like get her $500,000 that she didn't want, because she didn't want to be called the shittiest artist of the year. But the thought of someone burning £500,000 was so upsetting that she was like, God damn it, fuck you guys. Like, why are you making me do this? And so she had to do it.
I love them.
That's an amazing commentary on what money can do as well.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And I've never heard any of this stuff.
Yeah. I really want you to read this book, but
Okay.
I fear that you would read the first chapter and be like, I know what's going on here.
Have you met me? That's the Brendan Hughes way.
Exactly. You're like, I heard his segment on dad jeans. I'm done with this book.
And then on the next Dad Jeans, I'll be like, Jeff, I read this book called KLF, and I would have completely forgotten and recount the entire thing.
Yes,
But
exactly.
more poorly, because it would have more holes, because it would be from the book flap.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And there's a guy, and then they were in a pretty forest, it looks like. And
I don't know, it sounded like that might have been actually the Kindle ad before I opened it.
right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Tell me about your leisure class. I'm
Well-
sorry. I feel like we're just eating time tonight.
Oh,
Go
it's
ahead.
but it's lovely. I love hearing your raconteurish vibes.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I was going to talk about the book 2001, which I recently read. I don't know what got me into it. I'm not a science fiction guy, although this science fiction may have a future, Jeff. It's really fun to read. And I read the book version of 2001, which Clark wrote with Kubrick, because the book
Correct,
and the movie
yes.
came out at the same time, et cetera, et cetera. And it was a great time. But I'm not going to talk about that book, because I think actually I already talked about it on the air, or maybe I didn't. It happened.
I don't recall.
Well, you should all read it. It's much more clear than the movie. That's for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're like, oh, this all makes sense now. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
He left so much out of the movie, which was fine. But if you read the book and then watch the movie right away, it calls into question certain things. I know it's lauded as this masterpiece of all time, but
Sure.
it's a very different experience if you read the book first, which is worth doing because then anyway, I'm not going to talk about that though because
Okay.
I read yesterday an article by my brother Dave. In the
Oh,
Boston
sure.
Globe. And this is an article, not a book, but I did spend some leisure time. I don't have much, I have about 4 minutes of leisure time, so I'll read an article. And I read this article by my brother Dave in the Boston Globe about how Boston used to produce a lot of rock stars. In the 90s,
Yes.
it was a rock star factory. And I
Yeah.
lived in Boston in the 90s, and it was so goddamn fun to go to the Middle East and Central Square and other
Amazing.
places and see incredible music.
Yeah.
Anytime you wanted, you go to TT the Bear's place, Bun Ratty's, the Rat, and it was really great. And it was this golden age. And as my brother pointed out, this was a time when bands could meet each other by advertising in the back of the Boston Phoenix and say we need a bassist or something, and then they would meet, start rehearsing in the ubiquitous rehearsal halls all around town, and then
Yep.
and then be ready to play out, and out they would go, And then the Phoenix would be like, "Hey guys, this show is happening at Club 3 in Somerville," which is the club that would, if you had a demo, they wouldn't even listen. They were like, "Here you go," and you got to perform live. And I performed at Club 3 in my band when I was a drummer, and
Amazing.
it was great. It was really fun because they're like, sure, whatever. And in fact, our band leader, front man, has passed on. I recently discovered. I didn't realize that.
Oh, dear.
I lost track of him, and I looked him up recently, and I found out that he died 3 years ago, which is really sad.
Oh, jeez.
But in any case, we used his old demo and just like from his last band and just sent that around and got a bunch of gigs that way
Amazing.
and then played our weird ass shit, and it was so fun. And you could get in the Boston Phoenix and be listed in those things, and it was just awesome. And then if the bands that did this enough would eventually end up on the radio stations FNX and BCN, and maybe even make it, like maybe get signed by a label or something. Like there'd be these A&R guys were just like had apartments in Boston. So it was great. And then the internet arrives, and then no one listens to radio anymore. Radio closes. Then
Yeah.
the alt weeklies fold, and now there is no need to live in a city because Ableton and Logic Pro comes out, and so now Lorde in suburban Wellington or wherever the hell she lives in New Zealand, I think.
Sure.
It opens her laptop and puts out royals. She buys a
Yeah.
microphone, puts the thing right into the laptop, and then just like, here you go, SoundCloud. And so now it actually ties back into the conspicuous use of time thing. Now it's these bored suburban kids who have all the time in the world to master Ableton, which is both a musical instrument and an Excel spreadsheet at the same time, and
Right.
it's just like impenetrable. And suddenly, the big music stars are not gathering in the same room. They're doing it all themselves, and it's becoming more about the personality of the singer and less about the collision of stringed instruments and amps and sweat and beer that happens in basements in major cities. And it's all sad now. And actually, he wrote, so this article came out, lots of very interesting comments and stuff. And the governor of Massachusetts wrote him an email to wax rhapsodic about his favorite bands from the 90s.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, which is pretty great. So in any case, it's sad. In a way, I often lament, I miss Boston and I miss living there, but in a way, the Boston I miss is the Boston from 2.5 decades ago, and not
Yeah.
necessarily the Boston now, because a major component of what I missed about it is dead.
Yeah, it's the America of 20 years ago, right? It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
none of that's all gone.
The Clinton administration was really fucking fun.
Yeah, it was good. There was connection. There was human connection.
Yep, and
We
great
missed-
great music.
Yes, we have killed human connection. You're right. It's blipping and blooping on your computer by yourself. And now it's literally that, because there's no, even if you want to be in a band, you have to be syncing through the internet in order to do it, because we can't be together.
This quarantine has hastened what was already the end game.
I think if we get out of this, though, don't you think there will be a resurgence of things like that, group activities?
Oh man, I really hope so. Yeah, meetups. People are like, I like playing Shanghai Rummy, and people just meeting randomly just to do it and be like, I don't know you, but we can be near each other again.
Yeah, people just starting bands again.
Glorious.
Enough of these bleeps and bloopsings.
Bloops.
I read the article as well, and I thought it was great. Thank you for passing it along to us.
You're welcome.
And we'll link that in the show notes as well.
Oh, why not?
Look at us, we're pros.
Jeff, where does someone find these show notes you're talking about?
I think in the description, right?
Oh, yes. Okay. Fantastic.
Wait, okay, I'm going to make a note because I always say that, but now we have a document.
We do. Yes, that's true.
Dave's article.
Hey, hit the marker. Hit the marker if you don't mind. I also have to pee if that's all right. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I guess I can keep talking since Brendan is out. I'm looking through his camera at the back of his office. He seems to have some kind of a Civil War person in a picture against his back wall, and then a fella on a bicycle maybe. I don't know if these are people that Brendan aspires to be or influences he's had in his life. These 3 black and white pictures. It feels a little staged. Like I feel like maybe he put this there for me to discover. Then he has this like card file with a bunch of note cards in it that I can guarantee he has never looked at. He's just like shoving things into this card file so it'll be there later for him, but he never goes back to it. He's probably got hundreds of these things sitting around his house with like a word on it that's like spaghetti, and then he sticks it in the card file. I've never done this by myself before, I don't think. What else can I talk about? This is a very long episode. I apologize ahead of time to you guys. We have a lot of things we skipped. I have a driveway full of mulch right now. So Sarah, God bless her, she comes home the other day and she says, I got some mulch coming. Hello. I'm still talking.
I had to cut that pee off halfway through.
Oh, you didn't have to.
It was going on and on and on and on.
Well, I was talking to our listeners by myself. So.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great.
I was just. We don't need you right now.
All right, I'll go back and finish my pee.
If you want to complete the pee. No, I was just telling them that I have a driveway full of mulch.
You do have a drive. I saw it last night.
It is, as I mentioned, it's fire season here. It's hotter than balls, and I'm like, is this just a giant fire hazard sitting in front of my house?
It's basically a driveway bomb.
It is. I know exactly. Thank God there's no fertilizer in there, or we would be in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to secret shame.
Oh, secret shame.
Something went wrong and I'm to blame. It's all my fault, my secret shame. Fucking up, that is my game. Now here we go, it's my secret. It's my secret shame.
Secret shame. This is something we're ashamed of that we would not admit to anyone except our listeners.
Right? Yeah, to our legion.
Yes, like Anonymous.
Yep, exactly.
They're just sitting there in their Guy Fawkes masks, listening to Dad Jeans, sipping a kombucha.
And feeling like, I can't wait to be a parent, but I'm still in my 20s.
Exactly. Okay, well, all right, youngsters, listen up, because you're going to have some secret shames later in life.
Here's how it goes. Yeah, exactly. So, Jeff, I would like to, I propose this segment. If you don't mind, I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
I have been I think I've had kind of like, let's say, good dad energy my entire life. Like, hey, you got like an enthusiastic participant in whatever's going on, right? And I've often been told by people, therefore, that I would be a fucking great dad. Oh, you're going to be an awesome dad. I can just see that, And I always bought that. And I have discovered, and I must admit, and this is my secret shame, that I know what they're referring to, and I have a blockage where I can't bring that enthusiastic participant energy to many dad activities like Legos and hide and seek and playing with my, like, just free play and that kind of stuff.
It's not fun.
It's I have I have intrusive thoughts. My mind wanders hardcore while that's going on, and I'm just not 100% available. I want to be the dad that has like the towel for a cape tied around him and come bursting into his room with like a sword that's made out of cardboard and being like, "I'll fuck you," or whatever, and like go at him and start and just always be the wacky dad that's coming up with new fun things to do.
Yeah, designing an elaborate like sled run throughout the house or something.
Exactly. Or I want him to wake up and find rhyming clues that lead him to some new present I got him, and I did it all in the middle of the night. I wanted to be that dad, but I just scramble all day, and work is too kind of exhausting. And when he's like, "Can you please play with me?" and he's become very articulate, and he's like, "All I want to do is play with you, and all you do is sit in your office," and that kind of stuff, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that kills me." And I'm so obsessed with both surviving and amounting to something that when I'm not working, I'm trying to do these vocational, stupid, artistic projects. And I feel like I'm shortchanging the poor kid and not bringing that you're going to be an amazing dad energy where it counts, where it matters right now. So that haunts me in the middle of the night and drives me crazy.
I feel that for sure. You're not a homeschool dad.
I'm not and I scramble. And I'm scrambling in this stupid economy, which I'm not going to blame. It's my own fault. But I want to do better.
Yeah, no, I feel that daily. I have that exact same feeling. Like I don't like to play. I thought for sure if there's one thing I'm going to like when I'm a dad, it's playing with my kids. No, it's exhausting. But I'll tell you what, there are two things. Number one is that image of yourself, in that image of yourself, you're in control. You're like, that's what you want. You want your kids to play with you. You don't want to play with your kids. And the problem is, to do it right, they're in control. Mm-hmm. And they can't be in control of shit. You shouldn't let these kids fucking plan a birthday party. We see what happened to that poor bastard.
Yes. Yeah. And, the kids are a little bossy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're not. It's the melding of you and the child that is, you're just like, I just give up after a while. It's like, yeah, you want to be the, like that, the image is of being the hero dad who's leading the game. But kids don't want you leading the game the whole time.
Right.
Like that's why like when they're 3, like they're so much fun because you are leading the game. You're like, okay, we're done now. And they're like, okay,
Right.
But you're like, okay, I'll play Legos with you. And every good intention. I'm like, yeah, I like playing with Legos. It's awesome. Like you're building shit. That's fun. Like I have no problem with that. But after like 10 minutes, I'm like, can I just play with the Legos? Like, could you
right
maybe just go and do something else? Because I want to do my thing, like not your thing.
Yeah, exactly. And this is all according to some. And now everyone's getting upset. And now you're like, you want it a specific way.
Yeah.
Now I'm just supposed to sort them. I don't get to also do.
Yeah. It's impossible. It's just like, I'm with you, man. And it's like this. That's also like the fantasy of, like you said, having time. Like we're just in a different world now, man. It's like there's no break from the crush of capitalism. It's just nonstop.
It just eats our heads all day long.
It eats our heads all day long, and then you don't want to do. I just want to stare at a wall when I'm done with that day.
Yeah.
Just like, I can't. I got these new records, man. Just let me fucking sit here and listen to some records. I just want to listen to some goddamn records. For fuck's sake. And then you say, and then you snap and you say that, and then you got to repair it. And the kid's like,
exactly.
You don't ever play with me. And I'm like, and you never get credit for the times that you do play with them.
Oh, certainly not.
No, it's just like they just want more after that. So it's a losing battle.
Being a dad and getting credit are never the twain.
Nope, nothing to do with one another.
No, nothing. You
don't get it. You don't deserve it. Accept it. Is that our new tagline? You don't get it. You don't deserve it. Accept it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, my secret shame is exactly the same, I think, as your secret shame, and maybe perhaps every secret shame just boils down to the same thing, but. My secret shame is I'm not listening. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm never listening. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Sorry. I know you're saying something. I can hear your I'm like, oh wow. Oh really? Oh wow, that's cool. Oh yeah. And I'm like, I can't listen to my children. And my son Eli, God bless him, but he never shuts up. He never literally stops talking. Like, I timed him. We were watching a movie together one day, and I literally took out the stopwatch. Or no, I was counting because that's where I was in my life. I was like, I'm just gonna count how many seconds it takes before you say something. He never got beyond 44 seconds, and the average was 8.
Wow.
Every 8 seconds he said something, and we were watching a movie. We're focused on the movie. God bless him. I mean, I'm hoping these take a bullet for him, but I'm hoping these skills serve him well someday. I'm hoping that he grows up to be, he's gonna be so in touch with his emotions, know.
Yep.
Because we allowed him to speak all this time, and I'm never shut up. I never tell him to shut up.
Sure.
That's playing with him. That's what I can do, is not tell him to shut up.
That counts.
That's you being a super dad.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I do. If there's one thing I do, I think I am very keenly aware of the ways in which I'm preparing him for being a psychologically resilient American.
Yes, that's the focus.
Yeah, so
and maybe that's enough of a focus.
Maybe may not be fun. I may not be as fun as I once was, but he's going to do okay, hopefully, compared to me.
Because he's asking you to play with him. That's the thing too. It's like the dads who won't do that, they shut that shit down at an early age.
Oh, that's true. Right. He does stand a chance when he. Sometimes I actually go do it for 5 minutes.
Yes, exactly, and it's the best 5 minutes of his life, I'm sure.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Let's move into our last segment. We're not doing Spike Club and fatherly advice this week for maybe the first time in Dad Jeans history, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Are you okay with it?
Sure, man. Let's do this.
All right, our last segment.
This title is bullshit. I don't know what to do with it. I snap my slap bracelet on bleak.
And this segment takes a little bit of explaining maybe before we get into the theme song.
Yeah, I'm already picturing my compunction for next week.
So I came up with this segment. And I also had to come up with a theme song for Dadception, which I'm gonna redo. I don't know.
I thought it was great.
Oh, thank you. Odd. Kind of weird.
Yeah, well, it was out of left field. It was a new chapter for Dad Jeans, but we're always looking forward to the future.
It felt like it's sort of a Pink Floyd B-side compared to your usual zippy excellence.
You do you, baby.
I'm trying. So I came up with this segment, which is, I'm dead ass still on fleek. I swear on my slap bracelet. My stands. Wait, I gotta do that again. I'm dead ass still on fleek. I swear on my slap bracelet, my stands.
Okay, we've been Dad Jeans. Good night.
And this is youngster trends that we totally jibe with.
Okay, so I'm with you on the first and the last part of that. Tell me about slap bracelets. Now, is that something that has made a resurgence?
No, that gives away this. That kind of belies the rest of it.
I see.
Yeah.
As you're hearkening back to a day when people would swear on their slap bracelets, and that's a phrase that all of America knows. That is the reference. Brendan references things like 3 layers beyond reality sometimes.
Right. What otherwise is the point?
That's true. My main beef with this segment is that it's going to be impossible to come up with a theme song. You've heard it. But as we're speaking, I have not come up with this theme song yet. So I'm fearful for the future. My afternoon is shot now.
The game is becoming, I come up with new segments and make it harder and harder to do themes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of fun for me. Really something I'm looking to. Brendan, what is something that you are dead ass still on fleek, swear on your slap bracelet, my stands about?
Okay, I'm gonna say this. For a long time, I resisted that snaz chaps. I was like, I don't know, the dumb ghost, the yellow, whatever. It's all kind of full of goofy horse shit that 13-year-olds use or whatever. So I was never into the snaz.
Snapchats.
Snapchats, yeah. I was never into
Okay,
yeah, so like I had
Snapchats.
the big joke with when I was teaching in the college where I'd be like, you guys with your snaz chaps and your tucks and things like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
I recently kind of wandered into the TikTok universe
Okay.
and realized, oh, this is different and a lot better.
Uh-huh.
TikTok is going to save the world, and I will tell you why. Because it is establishing a global, multicultural sense of humor that is totally different than I am exposed to senses of humor that are different than everything else. You go on Instagram and you're exposed to expensive entrees and people's fucking faces. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck you. I don't care about your stupid, awesome life. You know what I mean? And then you go on, I don't even know why people go on Snazchat. I think they go there to send each other biology test answers that are going to be erased soon or something. I'm not even sure what that thing's for.
Yeah, I don't really get it either.
Yeah. But then Facebook is now just for middle-aged white men to lecture each other, apparently.
Yeah.
Twitter is a too loud party, blah, blah. We know what the rest of them are for. TikTok is for funny jokes and pranks. And from all walks of life, all these different people doing these things, and they can use soundtracks of different other TikToks to do it, and then lip sync to other people saying things, and they become these inside jokes and things like that. It's the
Right.
closest thing an image-based social media thing has been to Reddit, which is all the smartest kids from high school sitting in the AV club making really funny jokes.
Uh-huh.
And so TikTok is, for that reason, amazing. I've learned new things about senses of humor that I've never known before.
Yeah, there is something about that like domino effect, right? Where someone posts something and then you're 20 layers into it deep and you're seeing all the responses and it just gets more and more hilarious.
Yeah.
Like as you're seeing every other person in the world's take on this thing that has been established. Here's my two questions. Number one, why didn't Vine, like it's basically Vine,
Oh, right.
right? Like
Yeah.
why did Vine not become what TikTok has become?
I'll tell you exactly why.
Okay.
Because Vine emulated Instagram and was square with like little
Okay.
feed. So you like square, and then you also had the little comments. And so it was
Yep.
just sort of like, it was all about the people writing and all that kind of stuff.
It's UX.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And TikTok, on the other hand, fills your screen with the video,
Yeah.
and anything people are saying is kind of demoted and secondary to. And people can do this thing called Duet, where they do a split screen of themselves and the video. So it is entirely video based, and it fills the screen entirely. And it's not about comments. It's all about the nowness, the contemporaneity of the content
Yes.
itself.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and they have
So
these
it's
fun
interface.
It's
Interface
interface.
is what you're telling
It's
me.
yes, exactly. It's interface. It's people, and it's perfectly timed for this moment of people reaching out to connect with one another. It's the most connective of any social media I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I've seen like great. I mean, they did they organized the thing about Trump's rally where they all said they were going and no one went.
Yep.
Which is fun. My concern about it is that essentially everything goes to the alt-right eventually, and
Oh.
I feel like it's already happening. There's like apparently a huge QAnon TikTok planet. I just feel like it will just become a bunch of like
Yeah.
horrible racist jokes.
Well, but their algorithm leads you away once I think it's watching how much you watch those, or if you swipe past them quickly, and then eventually it learns who you are, and then, which is actually also insidious in its own right, because people are constantly siloing themselves with like-minded fellow humans, and
Sure, and if you do fall down the QAnon thing, then suddenly everything you're seeing is QAnon, and you're like, everyone agrees with me.
yes, right, that's a good point, which leads to this insidious level of certainty about. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's too bad. Like in a nightclub, when all the jackasses with loud mufflers discover your nightclub, it's over.
Yeah. I just fear it's like everything starts out progressive and then it just gets regressive. Like that's the progression. The progression is towards regression
Yeah.
of everything. Like eventually just everything becomes toxic.
Oh, God, it's so true. Because what are we defaulting to? We're defaulting to antipathy and and having an enemy, and certainty. Antipathy and certainty are the two things, and conspiracy theories, which are fun because you feel like nothing's fair.
Yeah. Antipathy, certainty, and conspiracy theories. Those are like King Lear's daughters too, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big Shakespeare guy.
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly their names.
Yeah.
Antipathy, conspiracy, and certainty.
That's amazing. Shit, I already named the episode, but I might have to retitle it. My thing that I am into that the youth are doing. I didn't have a lot to say for this segment, Brendan, because I feel like now I'm at a certain level. My children are of a certain age. Hazel is 9. So she's starting to get into tween culture. You know, she's into like the Descendants. And then I have my old man culture, which dips a toe into like indie pop that no one cares about except for guys my age and some subset of weirdos in their 20s, perhaps. But so there's this vast chasm of things that I think you think of as youth, like the TikTok generation, that I'm just completely, I have no touch point with. I don't know anything that's happening amongst the, say, 16 to 30-year-old set, which is the mainstream of culture.
They're the ones with the disposable time and income.
Yes. So I'm aware that TikTok exists, and I've seen it, and I know what's happening on it, and I read about it, and I see TikToks from time to time that are fun. I think Sarah Cooper didn't she start out on TikTok? Like
I think so.
Those are fun. Those appeal to the older people, the older generation. Mm-hmm. But just like the idea of being immersed in any of these cultures just feels so foreign to me. So I don't really know what's going on in the 20s. But I will say that from articles I've read, one thing that I really respect about them is that they don't socialize in person very much. And I'm totally on board with all of that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they've gone insular and they're just like, I don't need to go to a place and listen to a thing and do a thing, which I realize goes against our sort of Boston comments from earlier, but
right. But that's gone. They recognize that to them, they came out of college, they looked around, they were like, oh, that's not here. Whatever our professors are talking about, that shit's dead.
Yes. No, but there's this great song that came out a couple years ago by, I forget the artist, but nobody hangs out anymore in the real.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it was like some 18-year-old kid in his bedroom wrote this song, and I was like, yeah, man, nobody hangs out anymore in the real.
Well, I had this ex-girlfriend who used to go to her friend's house and just like flip through magazines on the couch. This is an extension of that go to a cafe and don't talk to each other thing. Like she would just go to, quote, hang out at the friend's house.
Yeah.
I find that so foreign.
Yeah. I'm just going to sit here and read a book while you do your thing.
So we're both having our lives. It's just I'm in your house and I'm having my life and you're having, and this is very low quality time, but I left my house to do it. I was always like, wait, so what did you guys do? And she's like, oh, nothing. She took a shower and then she had to have a phone call. And so I was just on the guy. And I'm like, what? I don't, but you didn't you get together under the auspices of doing a thing? You don't just, you just got together just to get together? So in a way, I get how these 20s kids do it. I feel like they're thinking on that level too. They're like, but aren't we going to do? Sure, I'll meet you at an amusement park.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a thing to do.
A thing to do. Right.
But just to sit around at a place and not do a thing?
Be in a situation. Yeah, exactly.
Where
the most exciting is going to get is baked goods.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that. I don't have any money. I don't have a job. What are you fucking talking about?
Exactly.
But there again, now we're up against that sort of chasm that we were talking about earlier between the privileged people who are allowed to sit there with their pretty dogs and not say anything and drink a $9 latte, and the actual American children who I side with, and I'm fully on their team.
Yes, exactly. All right, so I have one last thing to say, I think, before we go.
Okay.
And it is this. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. Listeners, it would be great if you went to, if anyone does anymore, iTunes and gave us a couple stars in a review.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to
That
say
would
this
be
for
awesome.
a while. I mean, this is like I found an article. I'll couple this with the following fact. I never launch iTunes. I do everything I can to avoid ever launching iTunes ever. And I think, and I've read an article where it was like iTunes. The headline was iTunes has been around 15 years and it's still terrible.
Yes.
Which is so great.
More terrible than ever.
Oh, more terrible. So yeah, in the Tim Cook, everything's just awful. So. Nonetheless, we have some very nice reviews, and I wanted to just read a couple because people have been so friendly to us. One person, Hoosier 1966, wrote, "The things I learn on this podcast amaze me. Things I didn't know about child raising, music, theater, beer, and so much more. Kidding. Dad Jeans is always rip-roaring funny."
Oh,
That's very interesting.
I love that.
Here's someone
That's
else.
good.
Allergic73 wrote, "Version 2.0 of Terry Gross and Studs Terkel for the 21st century."
Wow, I love that.
You're right. Gringaloka wrote,
Yes.
"Love it. The most magical and hilarious stream of consciousness."
Huh. Who are these people? Do
I
we
don't know. Someone named Snick2 wrote, "Delicious. Each episode is a goddamn gift. We are not worthy."
Oh, I know who that is.
Oh, I see.
But he's right. You're not.
And then, of course, there's Rezelsheft, who wrote, "This podcast is my best friend." It's funny, smart, and a goddamn delight to be around. Just like all the friends I had before I became a dad.
Oh,
My only beef with Dad Jeans is that there's only one episode a week.
oh my God, I love this. Not even that for many years.
I know. So we've really been starving him, but now we're doing one episode a week again.
We seem to be. I don't want to jinx anything, but
I know,
I like
3 in a
this
row.
new setup.
I believe the new preferred nomenclature is to Jarecki something, not to jinx something.
Oh, okay. We won't Jarecki this one. Wait, who is? Oh, the scam? No, what was that?
It was the jinx.
The jinx. That's right. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh,
So now we
good
just call it
reference.
the Jarecki.
I've forgotten. I haven't thought about the jinx.
So
Okay.
write us a review and we'll read it on the air.
Yes, we will. Thank you. That's amazing. I love it, Brendan. And we have to figure out how to get on the fucking list of parenting topics or podcasts on iTunes because this is a fucking travesty. These
Does anyone
podcasts
go?
up there.
Who go? But this is my question: does someone go and say, I could really use a podcast today, and go to the iTunes thing and be like, "Oh, new one recommended." That
People who want a parenting podcast do, I can guarantee you.
wow, they need us, the dads and the moms who listen
Yeah.
to us, who parenting. Let's be honest, is the end of all social life forever.
Sure.
And we can fill in as their new best friends as we do for this
I hope we can. Well, Brendan, you are my new best friend.
And
Thank
you're
you for
mine.
being here. And everyone, have a lovely evening.
Good night, everybody.
Dad!